Hi guys, me and my daughter again. I want to shoot a quick video on the gear that we carry, the gear that we've carried since we were kids, and the gear that we might carry in the future. I'm 34 years old, and I've been carrying pretty much the same gear my whole life, up until recently. About a year ago, I decided it was time to update some of my gear because it's, quite frankly, it was starting to look a little ragged. It served me quite well, and it served my grandfather and some of my uncles very well before me. A lot of this gear was passed down to me, given to me, things of that nature. So, but like I said, it was just time for me to move on and get other things. Now, by upgrading our gear, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to go out and spend, $100, $200, $300 on an item, okay? We can find these items or similar items for a fraction of that cost. Now, if you have that kind of money to go out and spend on these items, then by all means, pump that revenue right back into the United States and let's get this country going again. I, however, do not have $300 to go spend on a knife, all the time. If I was to spend $300 on a knife, I'm going to have to save up for about a month or so. So, with that said, like I said, we can find other items that are the same steels, the same material, for a fraction of the cost. Let me show you a little bit of what I've been carrying since I was a little kid, and then I will talk about what I've done to upgrade my gear. One of the first things is a large knife. Okay? This is an old bayonet style knife. I've had this knife since I was real young. I honestly can't even tell you how old I was when I first got this knife. I don't know much about this knife because it doesn't give me a brand. All it has is a number on it and the United States insignia, and that's it. Thing is though, this knife, it's almost 1/4 of an inch thick. This knife has stood the test of time, but it's definitely shown wear through the years, and it's time to upgrade. If any of you guys have any idea on what kind of knife that is, please let me know. I've been wondering that for a long time. Another one of the larger knives that I carried, my Puma. This thing has seen a lot of deer. I can't tell you how many items or how many animals this thing has skinned through the years and processed, but it has stood the test of time. It's not American made, but it's German made, and Germany has a lot of really good products, and this was one of them. Old Bowie style. Not a bushcrafting type knife. It'll get the job done, of course, but that's not really what it's made for. It's made for processing, skinning, things of that nature. Kaylee, get your fingers back, babe. Now, medium-sized knife. Who doesn't have one of these, or who didn't have one of these as a kid? Good old Schrade, old-timer, sharp finger. I've had, my grandfather gave me this knife. Yes, sharp finger. My grandfather gave me this knife. I've had this knife since, oh man, I was real little when he gave me this knife. I can still shave with this knife. This knife also has seen way more items than this knife. This knife wasn't passed down to me by my grandfather. This knife was passed down to me by a stepfather. But this, I don't know how long my grandfather carried it, but it's definitely stood the test of time. Again, not necessarily a bushcrafting knife. Definitely something made for processing animals. Caleb, stop, babe. Here, look, we're shooting a video, okay? So, behave. 3-year-olds. Another item. Good old hatchet. This is not an expensive hatchet by any means. I would imagine this hatchet was probably purchased at Walmart, okay? That doesn't mean that it's not very good. This hatchet has stood the test of time. I've had this hatchet since I think I was probably about 8 years old, and it's still got a really good edge on it. No nicks, and it's seen a lot of wood. Now, for smaller knives, things of that nature, you know, I went through a lot of folding knives. Folding knives were the big thing back then. Kaylee, look, we are shooting a video, okay? One of the things that I did use, though, was a Leatherman. Now, I think these guys were established back in the 80s. I want to say 83. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. I got this original little Leatherman a long time ago also. I want to say I may have got this back in 1995, 94, or something like that. But it's what I used for a smaller knife for a lot of years. I did break the tip off. So the other thing that I used, instead of ferro rods, used the old magnesium bar. I've been using these for quite some time. This one is pretty much done. I mean, it's been sitting in a drawer for years, just kind of collecting dust. There isn't a whole lot of the actual ferro rod left. I never really did use the magnesium portion of it. I live in Kansas. The wind's constantly blowing, so trying to get these things shaved off and everything was near impossible. So I just stopped trying. So I'm going to get back with you guys here in a few minutes, and we'll talk about the items that I upgraded to from these.